I want to start today sort of by talking a little bit about 2022 and the midterms. We've been saying we don't yet really know how strong the challenges will be against these various Trumpian members of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Madison Cawthorn, and then, folks like Matt Gaetz and many others. There's no shortage of folks who need to be seriously challenged and hopefully removed. There is a very interesting new ad from Madison Cawthorn's opponent, basically framing Madison Cawthorn as the type of person that would end up being radicalized into a domestic terrorist, almost kind of framing Madison Cawthorn, does the ad, as like a Timothy McVeigh type. And, we've talked about Madison Cawthorn before. He's a guy who, remember, he had this controversy where he vacationed at like Hitler's vacation home, or like did tourism at Hitler's vacation home, and seemed sort of like seemed to relish being in where there was what he called supreme evil. But there was something like a little bit fanboyish about it. It was all really weird. He's sort of alluded to bringing guns on the House floor. He got caught trying to bring a gun on his carry-on luggage onto a plane, says he didn't know it was there. Then brought a knife to a school board meeting last week in North Carolina. Just a guy who's really a problematic radical who has made it clear he's not about policy at all. He's just about memes and PR and communication and tweeting and this type of thing. Check out this ad we're going to look at. So there's a great article about this race on LGBTQ Nation, which says Madison Cawthorn has become one of the loudest and most extreme voices in the modern Republican Party. Now his Democratic opponent, a lesbian minister, is pointing out what has happened in front of voters' eyes. The congressman, like many young men, has been radicalized by extremists and fits the stereotype now for a would-be domestic terrorist. Jasmin Beach-Ferrara tweeted with a copy of the ad, quote, "Like too many young people before him, from around the world to right next door, Madison Cawthorn exhibits the signs of a young man who has been radicalized by extremists and is now dangerously radicalizing others." In the short spot, Beach-Ferrara notes that Cawthorn started out claiming he was interested in unity and bipartisanship before switching to violent rhetoric and urging insurrection. Let's take a look at the ad, because this is a very interesting approach to maybe one way to deal with some of these Trumpian extremists that fundamentally are very anti-American in terms of the values they bring forward, but they're framed as being very patriotic. Let's take a look.
Like too many young people before him, from around the world to right next door, Madison Cawthorn exhibits the signs of a young man who has been radicalized by extremists and is now dangerously radicalizing others. In 6 months, Madison Cawthorn went from this.
We're someone who can really help ease this partisan divide that's going on in our country right now.
To stoking insurrection.
Wow, this crowd has some fight in it.
And now, 8 months later, he calls these violent insurrectionists
political hostages.
And can't let go of the big lie.
Because, if our election systems continue to be rigged and continue to be stolen, then it's going to lead to one place, and it's bloodshed.
Republican Congressman Madison Cawthorn warning of, quote, bloodshed.
Again, justifying potential violence.
I'm Jasmin Beach-Ferrara. As a mom, an ordained minister, and a county commissioner, I'm running to defeat Madison Cawthorn. Not by confronting hate with more hate, but with love of neighbor, love of community, and love of country. Because violent extremism has no place in Western North Carolina. This isn't who we are. And we need to be crystal clear about the difference between right and wrong. Madison Cawthorn is a danger to our democracy. I'm asking for your help, not just to defeat him, but to come together to create the America our kids deserve.
Yeah. So, I think, unfortunately, because this authoritarian slide has happened over time, and this departure from norms and the way we used to talk about political issues, it coursens slowly, as we've talked about. When Donald Trump won in November of 2016, we had a bad feeling about what was going to happen. But if I had told you that day what 2020 would look like under Donald Trump, all of the insanity and all of the people that would be elected in 2018 and 2020 in that Trumpian vein, it wouldn't have seemed believable to most people. But it happened slowly over time. And then now all of a sudden, what really are radical extremists, and if their religion was a different one, we would be calling these people probably terrorists. The right would certainly be calling them terrorists. There's no doubt about it. But because they're ostensibly Christian, and because they're Republicans, and because they subscribe or appeal to this very myopic sense of what it means to be for America, they've gotten a pass thanks to the slow slide towards radicalization that has taken place. But what this ad does a really good job of is showing, put it all together, tourism in the house of the Fuhrer, these outrageous videos that have like a Columbine shooter vibe of him punching and punching and punching a tree as some kind of training that he's doing, and shooting guns and talking about there might be bloodshed if we don't fix our election system. Of course, placating the same believers of the big lie that actually did the rioting on January 6th. When you put it together, this is a very astute political ad because it's not making the allegations wildly or in an ad hominem sense or without context. It's just showing, look at this. And if we took that video and those statements by Madison Cawthorn and you change them and it was equivalent but a Muslim or even just a Democrat making similar types of claims, which I mean, I can't imagine would ever happen, they would be saying, shouldn't the FBI be investigating this guy? And of course, we've said many times, actually, yeah, the FBI should be investigating this guy. So a really, really interesting ad by Jasmin Beach-Ferrara. It's great to see that there are people challenging these wild, outrageous people. How well they'll do in 2022, we just don't know yet. It's too early to say. But what we can say for sure is if we are really going to like beat back Trumpism and maybe even prevent Trump from running in 2024, it's going to depend on removing some of these people from elected office in November of 2022. Jasmin Beach-Ferrara, one possibility in Madison Cawthorn's district. We'll have more time to cover her race and many of these other ones as we go forward. One of our sponsors is Four Sigmatic, the company best known for their delicious mushroom coffee. Four Sigmatic's mushroom coffee is organic, fair trade, single origin Arabica coffee with both lion's mane and chaga mushrooms. Chaga mushrooms have actually been shown to have potential in supporting the immune system in peer-reviewed studies. I've been drinking Four Sigmatic coffee a lot lately. It actually doesn't taste anything like mushrooms. It just tastes like any delicious coffee, but it's really easy on my stomach, doesn't give me any jittery feeling or a midday crash. And they have over 20,000 five-star reviews. And best of all, if you don't love it, you'll get 100% of your money back because they stand behind their product. You've got nothing to lose by giving it a try. Four Sigmatic is giving my audience up to 40% off and free shipping when you go to foursigmatic.com/Pacman. The link is right underneath this video.